Hello everyone, back to today's third and final video doing Ensembles Watch for today's third and final video. So I'm going to go through all members of the GFS ensembles, including the Operational, Control and Parallel GFS ensemble members, and we're going to see what they are showing for the next couple of weeks. So we've done two videos today. The first one was the first season model roundup for the spring of 2019. That's now been placed on the newly created spring updates page. There's a written summary that goes with that as well. So have a look at that. I'd watch the video, have a read, or do both if that's what you'd like to do. And the Gazzo's Sunny roundup was released just after lunch as well. So that's your usual Sunday eclectic look at this and that, including solar activity, sea surface temperature, anomalies, and more. So that video is on the homepage. Go and check it out once you're done with Ensembles Watch. So we're going to go through all of the GFS ensemble members. We're going to start off with the operational GFS run, the very latest one, the midday run, and then we'll go through all the ensemble members. So let's get on with it. We're at westcentral.d. You can find a link to West Central on the links page and in the description at YouTube. This is how the operational run has panned out tonight. So we've got low pressure at the moment in the North Sea, and we're bringing down those cold northerly winds as we go through into Tuesday. We get this area of low pressure developing to our south, running into France. That could bring some quite heavy snow to parts of England and Wales. More on that tomorrow. We'll definitely be doing snow watch tomorrow. Then a cold day on Wednesday, and then low pressure coming back in off the Atlantic from Thursday through to Friday. That could bring another bout of snow. Again, more on that in snow watch tomorrow. That low pressure moves away into France next weekend. We pull down these cold northerly winds, so cold weekend setting up next weekend. And then as we go through into the following week, this Monday the 4th of February, we start to get this ridge building in the Atlantic moving northward. So we're generating some northern blocking here. This looks really interesting as we're moving up towards day 10. We've got some proper high pressure around Greenland and Iceland. So it stays cold up to day 10. These areas of low pressure in the Atlantic continuing to be blocked by this big blocking area of high pressure that stretch from Greenland over towards Scandinavia. Then look what happens in the extended range. Suddenly all of that blocking goes away, and we get heights building to our south and pull up a very mild, balmy southwesterly wind. Look at that. By the time you get through to the 12th of February, you've got high pressure over France at the Med, and we're bringing up the air from the Azores. So very bizarre GFS operational run tonight. Up to day 10, it's increasing the northern blocking and increasing the cold signal. But after day 10, for some reason, it collapses all of the heights and builds them over France. I'm not at all sure about that. What's going on there? Very bizarre run. That's how the operational was looking. Anyway, let's start going through the ensemble then. So this is the control, and we're going to start in a week's time. So this is how the GFS control is looking tonight. So this is running a slightly lower resolution to the operation, but a higher resolution compared to all other models. So this is for a week's time, and low pressure is to our east. We're putting down cold northerly winds next weekend. Moving up towards day 10, we bring more low pressure in from off the Atlantic. Still looking fairly blocked, though, you have to say, to the north and to the northeast. And then as we move into the extended range, we start to build up high pressure over Scandinavia. So that's having a go at turning the wind into the east from a Scandinavian high. Almost pulls it up, but just doesn't quite manage to do it. And we finish up with high pressure centred over top of the country, dry, cold and frosty. Very good attempt, though, at pulling in those easy winds. This is ensemble member number 1. Again, we're looking quite cold next weekend, still with a northerly drifters air moving up towards day 10. Low pressure heads in from off the Atlantic. Notice a very large area of high pressure is building across western Russia, up to 1060 millibars there. So that's going to have a real go at turning the wind into the east. We start to block off the Atlantic, and we are building up quite a area of high pressure to our east and northeast, but then low pressure just acts as a buffer and starts to head in from off the Atlantic, finishing up looking a little bit stormy. If you get heights up to 1060 millibars over western Russia, watch out, because you could be in for quite an easterly if you get heights that high, if you get pressure that high over western parts of Russia. Ensemble member number 2, looking like that next weekend, quite unsettled and quite cold as well. Low pressure continues close to the country up to day 10. Many more extended range, we start to build up this ridge to our east, so we're pulling up wind from a southwesterly direction, looking quite mild up to day 10, with high pressure centering across France, Spain and Portugal. Ensemble member number 3, again, got low pressure close to the country and quite cold and unsettled conditions next weekend. We keep wind in from the north as we go into the following week. This is Tuesday the 5th of February, for example. We've got high pressure and cold weather across the country. Going out beyond day 10, we begin to move low pressure in from off the Atlantic and raise the heights to ourselves. This is another one that's pulling up quite mild air from the southwest as we go into the second week of February. That's how we're looking as we get to the end of the GFS around the 12th of February, with high pressure again centred over France, Spain and Portugal, and we're bringing in quite mild southwesterly winds. Ensemble member number 4, again, low pressure is close to the country next weekend. Looks mainly dry, cold and frosty conditions, you would have thought. Moving up towards day 10 and going beyond day 10, we start to build high pressure over Scandinavia. So this one is having a go at turning the wind into the east. Quite a nice Scandinavian high on this as going into the second week of February, and winds are in from the east and not desperately cold, but certainly it's having a go at bringing in a real easterly there. Ensemble member number 4 for the second week of February. Ensemble member number 5, again, the ridge is over the country next weekend, so it looks pretty cold. Wind still in from the north, then it relocates to our south, moving up towards day 10. We're going milder and more unsettled then, and we carry on running through with these winds remaining off the Atlantic. This is a very mild ensemble member number 5, just keeping the winds continuously coming from the Atlantic into second week of February. Certainly no sign of any northern blocking with that one. This is ensemble member number 6, with high pressure again out to west, pulling down these cold northerly winds next weekend. It looks like cold weather will continue into next weekend. Beyond that, a ridge builds over the country, and that's going up to Scandinavia. So this one again, it's having a real go at getting the wind into the east around or a little bit after day 10. Bit of a failed attempt. The high pressure just sinks down over the country. And then it's starting to relocate out to the west. So this is having a go then at moving high pressure up towards Greenland. So we finish up there on the 12th of February. It's had a really good go at both a Scandinavian high and a Greenland high, but somehow we're still in a relatively mild air mass from off the Atlantic. That's quite an interesting ensemble member number 6. Ensemble member number 7, cold north to northeasterly winds next weekend with low pressure close to the country, so cold and wintry conditions are maintained into next weekend. Moving up towards day 10, this is how things look. So we start to get low pressure moving in from the Atlantic again, and high pressure beginning to form around France, Spain and Portugal. So that's bringing in a milder southwesterly wind as we're moving into the second week of February. This is like what the operational run is doing, with high pressure over central parts of Europe, and we're bringing in those mild winds from the southwest. By the time we get through to the end of this ensemble member number 7, though, the high pressure is beginning to move up towards Greenland and Iceland, starting to show signs of putting down colder northerly winds again. So that milder interruption doesn't last very long at all. Going through to ensemble member number 8, we find at the weekend, next weekend, we've got low pressure close to the country. It's cold and it's unsettled as well. Let's push through, and we find a ridge then starting to build over the top of the country. It's heading off up towards Scandinavia as well, so winds are turning into the east with ensemble member number 8. It looks like West Central starting to run very slowly. So we've got wind in from the east as we go into the second week of February. Then high pressures over the top of the country, bringing a lot of dry, quiet, but probably quite frosty weather. We finish up still with high pressure very close to us with ensemble member number 8. Ensemble member number 9, again, looks unsettled next weekend, cold and unsettled with some wintry potential. We move through into the week following, so we're up to the 6th of February, still looking pretty cold and unsettled. Low pressure is more to our south on at day 10. We're still bringing wind in from a northerly direction, and high pressure is building over the country as we go into the second week of February. Then it starts to turn milder as we begin to drag up winds from a southerly to southwesterly direction. That's how we finish up ensemble member number 9, high pressure. Looks like it's trying to get itself close to Greenland, Iceland. Ensemble member number 10 with the low pressure close to the country, cold and unsettled next weekend. And as we move through into the extended range going up towards day 10, we're taking that high pressure up towards Scandinavia. So this one's going to have a go pulling in an easterly wind. But low pressure continues to moving off the Atlantic, so actually it turns milder again with this one in the second week of February as we pull up those southwesterly winds. That's how we look as we get to the end of ensemble member number 10. High pressure is centred over the country. That's mainly dry and probably quite mild, certainly with the upper air temperatures, maybe frosty on the surface. Ensemble member number 11 with the northerly winds down across the country next weekend, looking quite cold and quite unsettled as well. Then we're building a ridge in the North Atlantic, moving towards the north of Scotland. So this one's turning the wind into the east around day 10. Starting to pull in some easterly winds. And it looks like we're going to take the high pressure up towards Greenland in the extended range. So this is a much colder ensemble member number 11. It's not a big freeze cold, but it is certainly a lot colder than many of the ensembles we've seen so far. It basically keeps it cold right the way through to the 12th of February. There's no real mild incursion with that one. So cold with ensemble member number 11 into the second week of February. Ensemble member number 12. Low pressure is close to country next weekend, cold and unsettled conditions. Moving up towards day 10, we start to establish that west to southwesterly flow. In the extended range, we've got high pressure still to our south around France, Spain and Portugal. Low pressure is coming in from off the Atlantic. We're coming to the end of ensemble member number 12, and we begin to push out high pressure back towards Greenland, Iceland, turn the winds into the north. So after a brief milder interlude at the end of the first week into the start of the second week of February, it begins to get colder again. Ensemble member number 13 has pretty cold and wintry conditions next weekend. And they continue into Monday, the 4th and Tuesday, the 5th of February. Then we start to move these areas of low pressure in from off the Atlantic, looking very unsettled, quite stormy, but also quite cold as well, still with northerly winds. In the extended range of ensemble member number 13, we're having a go at beginning to inch at high pressure, or trying to inch it up towards Greenland, Iceland, so that's having a go at a renewed northerly shock. This is ensemble member number 14, again quite cold and unsettled next weekend with low pressure close to the country and also northerly winds. Now this one is building up a mid-Atlantic ridge and sending it up towards Iceland around day 10. So this is still cold at day 10 with high pressure around Greenland, Iceland. Low pressure as a trough is over the UK and many central parts of Europe. That's pretty cold and wintry with ensemble member number 14. In the extended range, it keeps it cold and blocked as well. The blocking signal is maintained, keeping wind generally in from the east. That could be bringing in snow showers to southern and eastern parts of the country in particular. That's how we finish up on the 12th of February. Ensemble member number 14 looking cold. High pressure still out to the northwest. We're still generally bringing in north or easterly winds. Ensemble member number 15, the low pressure is close to the country next weekend. Looks cold and unsettled with number 15. Moving up towards day 10, again this is another cold one, still at day 10, high pressure is around Greenland and Iceland, low pressure to the south of the UK, and we're pulling in these cold east or northeasterly winds. There, we're going to extended range, we maintain from the east in the extended range, and this is a real easterly actually, the wind is originating from western Russia, so that's a proper easterly, but we've got there through the second week of February, and it keeps it cold up to the end of that ensemble number 15, high pressure sinking down over the country, so cutting off the easterly, but nothing has happened really to introduce milder air. So that's cold from beginning to end with ensemble member number 15. Ensemble member number 16 looks cold and wintry next weekend. And as we go running up towards day 10, this is how we look. So this one looks like it's going to be a milder ensemble member with high pressure tending to be further south and southeast. Low pressure coming in off the Atlantic. So this one is going to bring us milder Atlantic winds with ensemble member number 16. Yep, there's that southwesterly setting in just after day 10. And then we go into a rather flatter westerly episode through to the 12th of February. That's a milder option, number 16. Ensemble member number 17 already tried to establish an Atlantic flow. Ensemble member number 17 next weekend. So it looks like this one is going to be a pretty mild option too. There's the winds coming in from a southerly to southwesterly direction around day 10. It is having a go at building up a Scandinavian high though, but it doesn't come off. We keep low pressure heading in off the Atlantic, and we've still got that high pressure down to our southwest. So this is a mild, potentially very mild ensemble member into the second week of February. Real split with the GFS ensembles with the options on the table, I have to say. By the time we get through the second week of February, either cold and wintry or mild, potentially very mild and Atlantic driven. This ensemble member number 18. This one again is establishing mild southwesterly winds as early as the beginning of next week, 5th of February. And then we go through into the extended range. We keep high pressure just out to our west, although it does allow some colder air to start trickling in over the top. So that's a little bit in between. It's not overly mild, but it's not particularly cold either. Ensemble member number 19, and this penultimately, of course, of the GFS ensembles looking like this. So again, high pressure just maintained close to the country up to day 10. There's a difference in the place of this high pressure that's key around days 7 to 10. If that high pressure slips south, then we're going to import those milder winds off the Atlantic. If the high pressure is maintained over us, then eventually it might start moving up towards Scandinavia and pulling in these easy winds. This is what ensemble member number 19 does. This one's keeping it cold and it's dry and frosty, and we're moving that high pressure. It's heading up towards Greenland and Iceland in the extended range, so it's renewing the cold. That looks poised on the 12th of February, as far as we can go, to pull down a really cold northerly wind. I think that's going in a very cold direction. Ensemble member number 19. And then finally for the ensembles, ensemble member number 20 looking cold and unsettled next weekend. And then as we go up towards day 10, here come the southwesterlies. So this is going to finish up with a mild ensemble member before the high pressure then relocates over top of the country, probably bringing a lot of dry and frosty weather, although it starts off mild with those southwesterly winds sometime just before day 10. Underneath this high pressure, of course, it's middle of winter, so you would expect a lot of frost and fog to be appearing with that. The last thing we can look at is the parallel run, and this is how the parallel is looking next weekend. So again, we've got the low pressure sitting in the North Sea on Sunday next week and putting down these cold and unsettled northerly winds. Let's go into extended range, see what it does. So it's raising the heights to our south and bringing low pressure in from the Atlantic. So that looks quite unsettled, but also mild. We're turning wind into a southerly to southwesterly direction. So we get to the end of the parallel GFS run tonight, and we're bringing up a mild southerly to southwesterly wind. I think a lot of these ensemble members with the parallel and the operational run want to turn things a good deal milder into the second week of February, but we have established that there is probably a minority of options, but not a significant minority. There's quite a lot of them, but want to keep things a lot colder into the second week of February. So it is quite indecisive. The very last thing we can look at is the ensemble graph. So I'll just go to there. And to there, we're looking at Leeds because that's the last place we looked at. And this is how the GFS ensembles are looking in terms of the graph for Leeds tonight. So obviously the red line is a 30-year upper air temperature average. We are keeping it cold certainly until around the 4th of February, staying well below that red line. So up to around February the 4th, it looks cold. Beyond that, we have got a real split. Look at the split that we've got within the GFS ensembles tonight we can see that these ensemble members here, and it includes the operational GFS run, which was really quite an extreme mild outlier at the very end, almost going up to 10 Celsius at 850 HPA. But then we've got these ones down here, quite a few of them, but around -10 at 850 HPA. So you've got something like a 20-degree temperature differential for the end of the first week of February into second week of February, telling us that there are a huge range of options on the table. Anything from very mild and almost spring-like conditions down to depths of winter and potentially big freeze-type conditions even are on the table. Albeit the trend within the ensemble, the majority of those ensemble members are lifting up into milder conditions. But it certainly isn't a done deal that that's how it's going to pan out. And so we just have to wait and see where this is going to go, I think, over the course of the coming week. And that's what we'll be focusing on in the video updates, of course, in the next few days. Two things we'll be focusing on, the cold weather that we've got right now and the risks of snow, of course, in the week ahead on Tuesday and on Tuesday into Wednesday, and then again Thursday to Friday. That's the primary thing we'll be focusing on, of course, but also be keeping an eye on this more extended range in the videos and trying to establish whether cold will be maintained into the second week of February, possibly even strengthened, or whether we'll go into a much milder spell of weather. So all will be revealed in the days ahead. Right, that's it for Ensembles Watch. Don't forget to check out the Gazlobby's Sunny Roundup and also the first seasonal model roundup for the spring of 2019. It's all out there for you to watch on demand when you want. That's all for now though, and thanks for watching.